Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Gemology for Schmucks. My name is Peter Nelson. I'm here to guide you in everything you need to know about gemstones. Today we're going to be talking about cabochons, which I love very much, but cabochon is also a word that sometimes in the gem trade is treated with contempt, which I think is rather unfair. But you can't really change people's minds, you just can give them the facts and then they can make up their own minds. And frankly, if they don't want to buy the things that I want to buy, that makes my life easier, so let them do what they want to do. So what is a cabochon? First and foremost, a cabochon is a stone that is cut with a rounded face. It's one of the oldest cutting methods because basically you can take a stone out of the river, put a nice polish over its already rounded face, and boom, it's already done. It's a cabochon. The nice thing about cabochons is because it has a rounded face, it can receive light from pretty much any direction. It doesn't reflect as much light as a faceted stone. So it doesn't have any sparkle, because there's no facets to actually reflect and make the sparkle, but it does pull in light, giving you a lot of luscious color. Inside of the gem trade, it's oftentimes used almost like a curse word because stones that are pretty included and would look terrible as faceted material can have those inclusions disguised by the overall body color of the stone if it's cut in a cabochon. Or as a sugar loaf. A sugar loaf is kind of like a pyramid, but also with rounded faces. Make cabochons great again! But that's not the point of this video. Today, what I want to do is show you one trick that you can use when identifying mystery cabochons. So right here, you will see that I have a large pink cabochon. And you might have a guess as to what it is. I might have a guess as to what it is. But if we guess like a couple of schmucks, then we put our reputations on the line. This is also why we do not identify from photos. Even if I have a guess, there is no benefit for either of us for me to guess and be probably right. Respectable gemologists do not guess from photos. Because even if I guess and get it right, if I get it wrong, that's a strike against my reputation. And we are not interested in that. There's no value. So do yourself a favor, there are either two options. You can gain knowledge from channels such as this one, learn how to identify it yourself, or you can take it to somebody who has experience, engage their services, and they can tell you without a shadow of a doubt what your stone is. Public service announcement over. There is no rush to be correct, but there is a need to be correct. If you buy something thinking it's another thing, you can lose a lot of money. And if you sell something to someone as something else, that's called fraud. And we don't go in for that. So take your time, make sure that you know what you're buying and selling. And this is one of the techniques that you can use in the process of identifying cabochons. So I like to use the free tests first to separate out possibilities of other stones that might look similar. And one of those tests is the polariscope. It will help me to know, does this stone split light or does it not? If it splits light, does it have one axis or two axes? And the polariscope can tell us both of those things. Ooh, how delightful. Because the face of the stone acts like a lens, we don't even need to use the conoscope, that tiny little magnifying glass, because the stone itself will focus that optic figure, if we're lucky, and show us right on the face of the stone. So as we look at this pink stone inside of the polariscope, we can see da-da-da-da. If you've been watching my videos, you know exactly what this means. This optic figure only exists in one type of stone. Which means that if you guess like a schmuck like me, our guess is rewarded with evidence. And it is quartz, yes, the bullseye figure, which you will have heard about in this video. And if you haven't watched that video, you should, because it helps you with faceted material as well, not just cabochons. The bullseye figure is only available in quartz, which means that we know that this is rose quartz. Pink quartz is rose quartz. So there you go, identification complete. I didn't even need to go on to a different type of test. How convenient. But let's go for a more difficult one, because the idea for this video actually came up when I was looking at some rough, and I had two sets of white stones. If you watched one of my other videos on how do I know what my rough is, this is one of the techniques that I use when I go and buy rough. Because these tumbled pebbles that came out of the river and then are brought to Bangkok could at any time get jumbled up and mixed between. So if I am selling it, it doesn't matter if it's an inexpensive stone, I still want to make sure that I am providing exactly what I'm saying I'm providing. So even though the outside of this stone is a bit frosted, sometimes it can show us the same type of optic figure I was talking about, but I need to find out which optic figure. The two stones that I make available for new lapidaries to practice are topaz and beryl, and these have two very different optic figures. One of them is biaxial, meaning it has two optic axes, and one of them is uniaxial, meaning it has one optic axis. So I do the same thing. I put it into the polariscope, and that polariscope, if I'm lucky, will show me what the optic figure is. If it's biaxial, I'm looking for something like this. If it's uniaxial, I'm looking for something like this. So let's try it again on one other white stone and see what we can see. Because there are many, many white stones out there, or colorless stones is better terminology, especially when you get into collector's stones. So we have no idea what it's going to be. This will not be our only test unless it is quartz, but it will help us to separate out three major possibilities. Does it split light? Yes or no? Is it uniaxial or biaxial? So same thing, we take the cabochon, we look for that black brush, we follow the brush, and at the end, sweet Dark Lord Sauron, it's biaxial. So once again, we're not sure what this stone is, but we do know that it cannot be glass. It cannot be goshenite, which is uniaxial. It has to be a biaxial stone. So all of that to say, if you are not comfortable with your polariscope, a good type of stone to start with is the cabochon, because oftentimes that optic figure is much easier to see, and it can help train your eye for what kind of optic figures you're looking for. That way, when you go over to faceted stones, it's a lot easier. So there you go. If you've got any questions, you can head over to gemshepherd.com where you can contact me directly. Otherwise, leave a note in the comments. Hit that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, bye-bye.